Tomorrow night, 8 Republicans will take the stage for the first debate for the Republican nomination for president. Former Michigan gubernatorial candidate and businessman Perry Johnson has filed to run for president but did not make it, according to the standards set by the Republican National Committee. He joins us now. First, tell us, why did the RNC say you didn't make the debate?
Actually, it's bizarre. You realize that we got a call from Fox on Friday after we had our third poll in and that qualified us categorically, and they were arranging for us to do a walkthrough. We heard nothing from them until suddenly Monday, I get a call at 11:30 at night, might have been 11. And I got a call from the RNC. We had Ronna McDaniel and David Bossie on the phone. And they said that I did not qualify, and the reasons were bizarre. They said that one of the polls, I think it was a Victory Strategic poll, did not qualify because they wrote down that they covered a national poll that was regionally balanced, covering 38 states. Well, they were the only pollster that ever bothered to put down the number of states, because let's face it, you have what, 70 million Republican voters, you have what, 120 million independent voters. That's a huge number of people, and they're literally looking at 800 and some people. So none of the pollsters cover all the states. It's normal to cover that. And none of the pollsters mention how many states, but they decided to exclude that. Then, if that wasn't enough, we then had McLaughlin. We had a McLaughlin poll that was conducted by Newsmax. I've never talked to this McLaughlin guy. I have no connection with McLaughlin guy. He's not related to me in any way. Now, they do have a rule that says if I have something related to a candidate, meaning me, that it's excluded, but he's not only not related to me, I've never even talked to the guy. Wouldn't even know the guy from Adam. Didn't even know a poll was being conducted. And here we get this poll that was about as good as you're ever going to get. You look at the breakdown, and by the way, I am a statistician, so my background is actually mathematics, and I know the numbers. This is another beautiful poll. They probably covered, just like all the other posters, somewhere in the area of, I don't know, maybe it's 35 states, maybe it's 40 states, but it has to be regionally balanced so that you get a representation all the way across. And that was another great poll. And they excluded that because David Bossie, I guess, said that you can't have any connection. He's hired by Trump or something. He worked for Trump in some capacity at some time. I never even totally understood what was going on in that matter. But I do know one thing, that Trump did fire Bossie, and Bossie should probably not be involved in any of this. And frankly, if they're going to start excluding these polls, I think they need to have a statistician on board to tell them when a poll is valid and when it isn't. We had another caravan poll. I was at 1.6% of that poll, and that was 2022 people, and they excluded that. I have a litany of polls they decided to exclude. So when you take a look at what's going on, it's completely nuts. So as a result, I say we have a problem. So we are filing suit, and we will be filing suit in federal court today. We cannot have this corrupt process go on, and something has to be done. Because when you have corruption like that going on in the RNC, I say you have a real problem. And that's something that has to stop. I know nobody wants me on this debate stage, make no joke. That's very clear. And why would they? Because I literally am a guy that wants to put Washington on a diet. Would you ever want an efficiency expert in Washington? I mean, that is probably the last thing in the world they want. And as a result, I think they're doing everything they can to kind of keep me off the stage.
Okay, and I know that in the past you've gone on the record to call the RNC debate process a train wreck, corrupt, and rigged. How do you think that makes voters feel about maybe their confidence in the system?
Well, I don't think the voters feel particularly confident in our system now. So I don't think this does anything except reinforce the problems that we have. And I think we have to do something about it. And right now, we have a huge problem in Washington because they have gone completely bonkers. You know that my whole theme is that we are going broke. And I wrote a book, 2 Cents to Save America. And the concept is quite simple. We have to change the way the government does business. Right now, they're spending every penny in their budget every year. They go out of their way to make sure they're broke. And with this process, it's not going to work. I say we freeze the budget, cut 2 cents of every dollar, and get them used to the idea of saving money and getting better quality and efficiency. And we will balance that budget. We are $33 trillion in debt. We collected $3.9 trillion in taxes last year. Now, can you imagine having a debt that's 8 times what you collect a year in taxes? If you have an income of $70,000 and you're $560,000 in debt, and you have a meeting and you say, honey, I think we've got to go on a budget now because our credit card debt is about 550, 60,000. We're only taking in 70,000 a year. So maybe we're only going to spend 90,000 this year. It's so stupid. It's crazy. That's why every American family is spending right now $610 a month in interest alone on our debt. And that's why everybody's talking about how they have to cut Social Security, reduce it from $17,000 to $23,000 per family, how they can't afford medical care. Heck, the only reason we're spending all this money for gas is because the government decided to throw all that money out there, literally $4.5 trillion extra without any goods or services, and make sure we didn't produce that much oil. It's crazy.
What do you think the voters are going to be missing out on by not having you on that debate stage? Also, your thoughts on the former president not being there as well.
Well, with my not being there, I'm the only guy with the plan. So you're not going to hear anything about the 2 cent plan. That'll be a thing of the past because they don't want to hear how we have to go and cut expenses, trim Washington, and they don't want to have anything to do with this 10-point plan I have to solve our problem. But let's face it, I am the guy that's been doing this kind of thing all of his life. For 35 years, I've gone to what, maybe 50 to 100,000 companies, and I've done exactly that. My job has always been to go in and make sure that we have a way to become more efficient with higher levels of quality, and that's what my team has been doing all over the world for the last 35 years. Washington certainly doesn't want to have that. And with Trump not being there, we have a situation where the person in the lead, let's face it, he's over 50% in the polls. In fact, he is anywhere from what? Anywhere from 48 to 69%. He is by far the leading candidate. So everybody else on that stage is pretty much a long shot. So it is pretty unusual to not have the leading candidate on that debate stage. So
Sure.
they've got guys missing.
And I'm sure with everything that's going on, a lot of people are wondering where this leaves you. Where does your campaign stand now? What's going to happen from here?
Well, I'm going to Milwaukee. So I'll be getting on the plane at 5 o'clock. I'll go to Milwaukee. We filed a lawsuit against the RNC. I know they're planning to have a meeting discussing this whole situation. Let's see what happens. You know, this is America and this is politics. And you know how politics works. It moves like lightning speed. So it is something else and it is something to see. Just stay tuned because who knows?
All right, we'll be watching it. Mr. Perry Johnson, thank you for your time.
And thank you and enjoy life.